What's up, people? Welcome back to another explanation video. This time I'm gonna go over the ultimate endgame buffs slash debuffs you will see in this game. So I made a 10 most useful buffs. That was a long time ago. I don't even remember how long that was. Very long time ago. So now since the game is near its end, and I will make a video for all the well, I don't know about all of them, but most of the buffs you will see until this point, and yeah, all the good buffs and debuffs, and talk about it slightly because I want to put them all into one video. And so yeah, you'll most likely see these buffs, no matter what, in a lot of builds at this point, because I don't think we're gonna get any more new buffs because since the game is almost finished. And yeah, let's get to it, shall we? Okay, so I'm gonna go over all the buffs, as many as possible, maybe not all of them, but the most useful one you'll see in pretty much any in-game builds. So in no particular orders, I'm gonna go over all the non-plus version skills first, and then I'll go over the plus version of the skills. And without being said, like the plus version of that, you can get it from multiple locations for some of the items. You can get from many, like location, like I said, from the Ancient Apostles, from the Supreme Ray, from the DLC, etc. You'll get multiple locations for a certain item with the same buff, like same plus skill, so that I won't be mentioning too much about where to get it because there are many places. And yeah, so let's get started, shall we? And starting off, I got a Mind Break. Mind Break is definitely one of the best debuff, obviously, because like this thing, if you use it right off the back, you can literally down the enemy with it, no problem. So even as a 10% skill minus. And the other thing I want to talk about is the skill tree. You can customize these buffs as well for these non-plus versions, and you can add on whatever you want to do. But I won't be going too far on the customization. I already talked about it a long time ago. So let's move on to the next one. Now the Warrior Bloodline. Warrior Bloodline is a very good buff. This is a skill power, so obviously you'll do more damage with it, and the cap is at 100%. If you don't want to use do or die, or you worry about HP that's not low enough, just use this and you'll get the similar result, except you don't get 100% just by using one of them. Next, we got Thorn of the Protector. This is a very good buff because it converts your defense to attack by 30%. So this is why the Steel 3 is very powerful when you're using the Steel 3, and it will convert 30% of that. So at this point you'll have so much defense, you're gonna get a massive attack boost. Sword of the Goddesses. Sword of the Goddesses is actually a very good speed buff. I always use it no matter what in any sort of build. And this is a very good skill. It's a must-have if you want to have faster speed. Billion Blossom. Billion Blossom, without being said, it is one of the best buff in this game to keep your skill connection, keep that damage. So it does not mean that you use this skill you get a lot of damage. It's what it does is to keep your skill connection. You don't lose it, so you don't have to reset it, so you can constantly doing the same amount of damage over and over. Reaper's Wrath. Reaper's Wrath, without being said, is definitely one of the best crit buff in this game you can have, because it definitely increases a lot of crits, and you will need Reaper's Wrath for a lot of fights in order to crit more and do more damage. And there's also a plus version. That plus version can be shared among the teammates and other players. God-Roll Warrior. God Warrior is a very good buff to keep you alive. You can get 6 hits. So with that 6 hits, you can stay in the game without dying too much. However, this is not infinite, so you're gonna have to wait for the cooldown. A lot of times 6 hits is more than enough for you to do a specific fight. So this is a very good buff to keep you alive. Black Chain of Discord. This is a very good debuff to land on the enemy, especially if you want also to boost special accuracy percentage. get some slow speed. Child of Chaos. Child of Chaos is a very, very good debuff. This is a very important skill to have, especially if you want to fight higher level enemies. You must use this if you want to, slow them down, like to land it and etc. Besides sword skill, these debuffs, you have to have like significant amount of special accuracy to land these debuffs on them. Otherwise, you're most likely not gonna land it, and you won't get that slow speed effect. Heavenly Aegis. This is a very, very good buff to have. This will protect you from notified projectile and physical attacks for 20 seconds. I think that's the maximum you can get it. But if you customize the 10% duration for some of the accessories, you can get a little bit longer time. This will help you a lot, especially like during the Kobo War fight and some of the fights that you will definitely want this buff. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna go over are the plus skills. So some of these plus skills are practically the same as the non-plus, except just the SP reduction. You use a lot less. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I won't be going over the same plus version as in the normal, because I'm only gonna go over some of the important ones that are like very, very powerful. And other than that, yeah, let's get to it. So like the first thing I want to talk about is the Galvanized Plus. Galvanized Plus is a very, very good buff. This you can share among everybody, and you can use the non-plus version, but the non-plus version is only for yourself without Body of Sage, and you can share to anybody else. This thing is a very, very good. It's almost a must-have when you're playing late game or any period of the time, so it gives you full arc edge right off the back, so you can use super arc to deal massive amount of damage in the moment. Plus, this is a very, very good buff to increase skill speed and agility plus 20%. 20% agility is a lot, especially in the end game. It is insanely powerful. So a lot of weapons use a massive agility like dual wield, katana, bow, etc. So you definitely want to use this buff, and it will make your weapon hits even harder because the agility increases dramatically. Next, I got Tiger Resolve Plus. Tiger Resolve Plus, it is one of the best DPS buff because it increases crit rate and crit power regardless. So this is without being said, one of the best DPS buffs you can get in this game. Up next, I got Bulwark of the Goddesses. Bulwark is, without being said, again, like there isn't much to talk about because this is pretty much in every single build. Everything increased by 10%. That pretty much tells the whole story. So if you want all the stats increase, this will be one of the best DPS buff. So this, in order to share this, you must have Born Leader, same as the Tiger Resolve. I just want to mention that real quick. If you don't have that, you won't be able to share among of your party. Not your friends, just among of your AIs. If you want everybody, on your team to have it. So it is very important to have Born Leader to share that. Next, Do or Die Plus. Do or Die is definitely one of the best DPS buff in this game. There's no question about 100% skill power with low HP. So the lower your HP, the more power it gets. So this is pretty much, a buff in every single build. And yeah, without being saying too much, but there's another feature. It'll protect you, from getting one hit. So you remain with 1 HP, but you only get 1 hit. Just remember that, not more than 1, just 1. Next, Falcon Fizz Plus. Now, Falcon Fizz is definitely one of the best debuff in this game. You can land with just with high accuracy. This does not need special accuracy to land. So whenever you land on the enemy, you'll get 20% more risk point, which is why you see that 3.6 a lot of time. The more risk you have on the enemy, the more damage you'll do. So this is also a really, really good skill to land on enemy and hazard them fast. So it is a very, very powerful debuff to have on either on you or your AI. It doesn't matter. Whoever lands on the enemy, it works just fine. Up next, I got Burning Blade Plus. Burning Blade Plus is definitely one of the best DPS buff in this game because it gives you down attack plus 20 more percent, so you can hit even more damage when the enemy is down. So with the incarnation, you only get 80%, so you're missing that 20% to get to 100, and this buff makes up the missing percentage, and it's pretty much in every single build. Up next, got Wits. Now Wits is a very, very OP skill. However, once you get to later in the game, you can't really hit the higher level enemies. So, but this is a very good debuff to have when you're trying to, farm enemies like for shards and etc. Because like you can still use Wits for a lot of farmings. It's just not bossing because at level 900 plus range, they use too much special accuracy, so you're pretty much not gonna be able to use that for that high level, but you can still use that for the lower level stuff, like 300, 400s, 500 stuff like that. It's still very, very good. And this thing uses insane amount of special accuracy, and that's the only problem. Other than that, it is a very, very good debuffs because you can have 6.0, that's like double the damage without being said too much. Up next, Fireball Plus. Now Fireball Plus is definitely one of my favorite speed buff in this entire game. This gives you 25% skill speed, 10% attack, move speed 5%, so you move a little bit faster actually when you have your weapons out. And yeah, this is a great buff you can have, especially increased speeds and etc. And only takes one buff slot too. Like all these plus skills, they all only take one buff slot, so it is very good to have them. That's why I always use Fireball Plus, in most of the builds, and mix that with the Sword of Goddess, and that way it's not over buff, and you can get more speed out of both combined. You can also use all 4 of them if you really want to, or 3 of them, and any number you choose. And this is definitely one of the best speed buff in this game. Last but not least, the most broken buff in this game is the Zen Fighter Plus. Now what does that do? It makes you don't need accuracy. So this is how it feels like. You don't need accuracy at all in this game, but it lasts about 60 seconds. That's only if you don't customize the effect times from certain accessories to extend that effect time. This buff, without being said, is the most useful buff they ever introduced in this game, because it makes every single weapon viable. Because there's a lot of weapons without Zen Fighter, yeah, they can't do 999. So this buff alone will pretty much make bad weapons into great weapons, just because you can hit the enemy. Like, it doesn't matter how powerful you are, if you can't hit the enemies, it don't matter. So the Zen Fighter is definitely one of the best buff in this game, no matter what. Because you can use, for everything, and most of every build. You can even do that in the beginning if you want to, but it's definitely recommended later game because the enemies are much more higher level. But yeah, you can use this buff anytime. But the only problem is that you have to trade 1 Galvanize. That's like 1000 Arcatch. So other than that, not really a big deal. Just 1 Galvanize sacrifice, and then you can hit enemies, all the hits, and then you can have the maximum damage. Alright people, I hope you guys enjoy this video, because there's a lot of buffs in this game, but I'm trying to pick the ones that are pretty much you see in every single build. Yes, there are some individual random ones I still left off in the list, but those are for situational. But a lot of these buffs that I mentioned, it's pretty much in every single build that you see and people will use. Specifically I use a lot myself. So whenever you see other people use, they will use pretty much the similar buffs. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, and it covers majority of the useful build, like the buffs for the builds. And yeah, and I didn't mention some of the sword skill. There are some sword skills that increase buffs, you know, like Liz. You know, like, you know, not just Liz, but the Mazed EX that gives you 50% attack buffs. That's why you'll see sometimes people will use Liz on a team, because that skill actually increases your attack, so it's pretty good. Some AIs have some sword skills that boost if you have them on the AI. So, but this video is mainly about buffs and debuffs, not as much as sword skill. The sword skill is similar. I already talked about the sword skill long time ago, so that hasn't really changed much, still the same. Just use more special accuracies to land it. And this one is just mainly the ultimate endgame buffs and debuffs you will most likely see throughout this entire game. And I just want to put them all together into a whole, you know, so make it like an ultimate guide as usual. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Until next time.